We talk often here about how you need to build a team to buy a business because you've got all kinds of different things that need to be looked at in due diligence, arranging financing, etc. But what if some of those people weren't actually acting in your best interests? Stay tuned.
I'm David C. Barnett, and you're tuned in to Small Business and Deal Making, the podcast, YouTube channel, and blog where I talk about buying, selling, financing, and managing small and medium sized businesses while controlling risk. So, if you're looking to take control of your future through buying a business one day, or if you already own a business and you're looking to grow or exit, you've come to the right place. I talk about interesting things, I talk to interesting people, and I answer your questions every week right here. So, be sure to hit like and be sure to hit subscribe, and let's get to it. Are you thinking of growing your business or beginning a journey into entrepreneurship? Take a shortcut to success by buying an existing and profitable business the right way. Visit businessbuyeradvantage.com and learn more about my online training, group coaching, and consulting services designed to help you win.
Hey everyone. I was having a conversation the other day with another professional who's involved in the world of buying small businesses, who used to be in the world of private equity. And we were having a little conversation, and he said to me that, when he was in private equity, he would talk all the time with other people in the private equity world. But he said that he knew that they were all like out to eat his lunch and were super competitive, and that he better not say anything really important because it would be used against him in the marketplace, right? And we kind of chuckled over that, and we started to talk a little bit about business buyers and how the sort of online world of content or information about buying is so much friendlier and gentle and creates this impression that there's all this helpful advice and people out there willing to share, et cetera, et cetera. And it led to the conversation or the topic about kickbacks and referral fees and conflicts of interest. And conflicts of interest are something that I have touched a little bit upon earlier in this video series. A few months ago, I created a video called "Who Should Appraise the Business When You Get a Business Loan," and I talked openly about a potential conflict of interest that might exist amongst business appraisers and how you can take advantage of it when you're trying to get a loan. So today, I want to talk about the other potential conflicts of interest that might exist amongst the team that you could find yourself working with to buy a business, and how you need to think about it and how you need to measure or maybe protect yourself against some of the perverse incentives or conflicting incentives that might be created if there are conflicts of interest in your team, particularly if you don't know about them, if they have not been properly disclosed to you. So let's talk about the different people that are involved in doing a business deal, for example. So there are business brokers that help people buy a business. Now, it's completely public knowledge that business brokers are typically paid by business sellers upon the sale of their business, and they're paid usually a commission. So everybody knows, talking to a business broker, that the broker has an incentive to help get the business sold, and the higher the price is, the higher their commission is going to be. And so this is an example of an interest that a party would have that is transparently understood. So, as a business buyer, if you asked a business broker, "Should I buy this business?" and they said, "Absolutely, you should buy this business," you would understand that that advice may be colored a little bit by the person's desire to get paid, right? And and so the problem, though, is that when these kinds of incentives exist that you don't know about or that you're not aware of, um, you know, sometimes other people who are trying to get business from people that are buying businesses will approach people like a business broker and say, "Hey, if you can help refer people to me, maybe I can give you some kind of compensation for sending me clients." And this is one of the ways that these conflicts can get created. So, for example, a lawyer, right? Lawyers have a fiduciary duty to their client, but if there's a lawyer who's getting 20 different deals referred to them every year by the same business broker, Does this compromise their independence? Right? And I'm sure that there are some very ethical and morally oriented lawyers out there who could honestly say that it does not. But there could also be some lawyers out there who might second guess whether they're going to say a certain thing to a buyer, realizing that if they start to crash deals, that maybe that broker will stop sending them clients. And this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about when I talk about conflicts of interest or perverse incentives in the relationships with the people that you've assembled together in your team to buy a business. So, for example, you might want to be wary of deal-friendly lawyers who, a broker says, "Hey, if you want to get this deal done quickly, I know this guy who can get it done in just a couple of weeks." And he was telling me the other day that he has lots of time available. Um, it may not be the best lawyer for you to hire. Um, Accountants and due diligence firms are often also referred by brokers or business sellers. Uh, would they have an incentive to underplay a concern if it meant keeping those referrals coming, whether or not there is any kind of referral fee being paid? Right. And we're going to get into fees and kickbacks here in a minute. But just simply the fact that you have a continuous source of business coming from a certain center of influence, this is called center of influence marketing, if you've never heard that term before, where you reach out to and contact certain people that you know can refer clients to you. If you're getting a constant flow of business from one particular center of influence, you may be incentivized to deliver work that is going to make that center of influence happy because you understand how they make money if you're the other service provider. So let's talk about lenders and people who are business loan brokers, for example. They can also be people that refer other professionals to your deal, and they also may be taking referral fees from those people. Some of these people, may be getting paid to push deals through rather than to protect the buyer. Actually, um, my own personal pet peeve of the financial world are residential mortgage brokers. They frustrate me to no end because I hear their advertisements all the time where they advertise that their service is free. Well, it's not true. They don't work for free. They get paid by banks and other lending institutions for delivering borrowers, right? And one of the things that you never know as a home buyer when you go to talk to a mortgage broker is it's never disclosed to you how much they get paid, right? I would have the greatest amount of respect for a mortgage broker who said to me, um, "I'll get you the best mortgage. My fee is $1,000. Um, I will show you different mortgage options, and if they pay a fee, I will disclose that to you, and you can choose one of those mortgages to offset my $1,000 fee." To me, that would be a straight arrow, honest, open, and transparent mortgage broker. I have yet to meet one, right? Most of them will just say, "My service is free. Here's the best deal I found for you. Sign up here." And you don't know what they're getting. And and this is how, I would always wonder, are you really getting the best mortgage, or are you getting the mortgage that pays the highest commission, or are you getting the mortgage that allows, if he gets so many mortgages a year, he gets the free trip to Puerto Rico or something? Like that would be the concern that I would have. And the problem I have is that people will get into business deals, for example, and they won't even stop to think about whether these kinds of secret arrangements might exist. And it's dangerous because you could be relying upon advice from somebody who is in some way compromised and you don't realize it. So, um, what is you know, so there's here are the ways that the interest gets compromised. I already mentioned about the flow of clients from a center of influence. So if I'm an accountant and I'm getting a bunch of business from a certain business broker, I may not want to interrupt that flow of business. If I am, an inspector of some kind or uh, a due diligence Q of E firm, and I'm actually paying people to send me business, or someone is paying me to do some kind of work. Like the buyer usually pays the Q of E firm. The Q of E firm might be giving some kind of kickback to the broker, right? And so if the broker wants to refer that Q of E firm, in order to get those incentive payments. But if the Q of E firm keeps finding problems with deals and throwing them under the bus, even though that referral fee is there, the broker still may choose not to use that firm anymore. So the firm has an incentive to perhaps underplay some of the problems that they might find with the business, right? Um, there are fees based on success, and there are fees based for referrals, right? And these can have different kinds of impacts. So, for example, at the end of every one of my YouTube videos, there's an ad for Mark Willis. He helps people with the Bank on Yourself insurance program. I understand that program. I understand its value. I worked with people who have done that program. I worked with people who have bought those policies. I myself own policies that fit within that realm, right? So I know it's a good thing for the right person. Mark pays a referral fee for every person that goes and meets with him that comes from my YouTube channel. And so that's an example of me trading the audience that I've built and the flow of potential leads to him in exchange for some kind of compensation for remuneration, right? But I have no interest in the ultimate outcome of those conversations. So I've said to many people, this could be for you. You should meet with Mark and see if it fits your personal situation. Um, I'm not then trying to badger and convince somebody that they need to sign up for Mark's program, right? It's between the two of them what they want to do, and it's ultimately the person who is going to be investing money to determine what makes sense for them. And that is a disclosed public, relationship. So it's not a secret to anyone that the reason that I have that sponsorship message at the end of my channel, end of my videos, is because there's compensation being paid, right? We all understand that when Coca-Cola runs an ad on a TV show, that Coca-Cola is paying the TV producers, right? And so the understood relationship means that the person who is participating, in this case, we're talking about people buying a business, understands the motivations of the different parties. It's the secret ones that are the most dangerous. So the let's talk about duties, fiduciary duty versus financial incentive. So, a fiduciary duty is when someone has a legal and ethical obligation to do something in your best interests. So, if you go to an accountant, they're supposed to be giving you advice that fits within your best interest. They're going to tell you to file your taxes on time. They're going to tell you to pay your taxes. They're going to, tell you to follow certain policies and things that are going to be better for you and help you avoid trouble. Same thing with a lawyer. They're going to give you the best advice that they can based on the information that they have. That's what they're supposed to do under a fiduciary duty. The financial incentive can sometimes undermine this, as I've mentioned. So, um, there was an example in particular of somebody that I worked with. He called me for advice on a deal. I told him I didn't think he should do the deal. He did the deal anyway. Later, he called back and said that the deal wasn't working out, and I asked him, "Did you structure it the way that I normally advise people to structure it? Do you have a seller note, et cetera, et cetera?" He said, "Yes, I did all that." I said, "Great. So where's the paperwork?" And in the paperwork, the seller note did not have an offset clause, right? And which is a key component of what is supposed to be set up. And so then I said to him, like, you know, have a conversation with the lawyer. How did you meet this lawyer? Where is this lawyer from? Turned out the lawyer was referred by the business broker, right? So you can kind of see where this stuff might come into question, right? So was the lawyer actually executing the documentation in alignment with what you had asked for that was going to protect your best interests, or was the lawyer just churning out the documents in order to satisfy the broker who keeps sending him clients? And in that particular case, even though it turned out to be fraud involved in that case, my client's opportunity to offset his losses against the seller note were limited because there was no offset clause, which was one of the fundamental things that was supposed to have been in there that was not, right? Um, so what kind of question should you be asking for, right? The um, you want to ask everyone that you work with, do you receive any compensation from anyone else in this deal? That's what I would ask. Like, if you hire anybody that's gonna be on your team, I wanna know exactly who they work for and how they're getting paid. And what you wanna know is that you're the one paying them because they work for you. Pretty simple, right? And so you know that as a buyer, you're not paying the business broker. You can easily conceptualize that the business broker doesn't work for you. They work for the seller. They're trying to get the business sold. I would recommend that you hire your own professionals. Don't just use the people that you are being referred to. You might talk with them and consider them. You might also ask them if they're getting paid by anybody else, or ask them if they work often with the other people in the deal. Like, try to sniff out whether there could be a conflicting loyalty or interest in any of these relationships. I would always recommend that you use a fee for service over a success fee model. You do not want to create a perverse incentive in one of your deal team members, right? So, some of these buy a business with no money people that are online, they always try to promote this idea that you can sometimes hire a lawyer and accountant on a success fee model. And the whole thing is they're trying to convince people that they can buy a business even if they're broke, which is garbage. But um, think about it. If you said to your accountant, I want you to help me do due diligence and analyze this business, but I'm only going to pay you if I buy the business, like, you yourself are incentivizing the accountant to act against your own best interests by creating that kind of payment methodology. You don't want to do that. You want to incentivize them to do great work and give you honest advice, which just simply means you want to hire them and you want to pay them for the work that they're going to do. It's the same thing with us when we do buyer insight analyses. People want to hire us so that we can analyze a business honestly and give them our feedback and show them the results of our research and show them what we think a reasonable first offer should be. The last thing someone should want to do is incentivize me that they end up buying the business. You that it just works against you, right? Um, get a second opinion, even if your second opinion is from someone like ChatGPT. Right? So if you are getting financial and legal advice from your service providers on doing the deal, if it's a big enough, material enough deal in your life, if you're going out there and buying a business for $1 million and you're going to take on an $800,000 bank loan and you're going to personally guarantee that, do you think it makes sense to pay a couple grand to take all of the legal paperwork to another lawyer and say, "Hey, would you look this over for me and let me know if you think that there's anything amiss?" I I think that could be prudent, right? Um, ask for written disclosures of any referral relationships. I in some industries, there are legal requirements for the disclosure of referral relationships. I remember I once was buying a house and, the real estate agent met me at the house to show me the house and, said, "Hey, before we go in there, I need you to sign this." It's a disclosure outlining exactly how I get paid. So I was a buyer, this was a buyer's agent, and he had this disclosure saying, if you decide to buy this house, the seller of the house is going to pay a real estate commission. That commission is split in two. Half that commission comes over to our firm. It's split between the owner of our firm and myself. And he said, if you want a mortgage, and I can send you to this mortgage broker, and if you do go to her, she's going to pay me $50. Like, he was very transparent, spelled it all out. There was a place for me to sign my name and everything, right? So that kind of transparency doesn't exist in the world of buying a business, but you can ask for it. There's nothing stopping you from actually asking for a written disclosure of any referral relationships. And that can be as easy as email. You know, um, Joe said that you were available to help me with this certain problem. Do you receive any referral payments from Joe or anybody else in this industry? Like, I want to understand exactly how you get paid. And if somebody has a hard time answering that question, or they want to dither and they want to waffle and they want to dance around it, to me, that's a super red flag about the ethics and moral position of the person that you're talking to. They should be forthright and honest in everything that they're going to talk about with you, immediately, absolutely, right? Or it should really give you pause. Um, the IBBA, International Business Brokers Association, they do have a code of ethics. And there's other organizations that have code of ethics. You know, if you have a CPA or an attorney in a given state, all of these organizations are going to have codes of ethics. And some of them actually say something about referral fees or relationships like this. And if you have any doubts, you might want to go and look those up. They'd all be on the internet that you can go and find. Um, I gave you the example of the business where I th I was talking with the guy and he ended up buying a business and it didn't have the offset clause in his seller note. There's all kinds of instances, that I hear about secondhand where people are, um, they're going to different brokers for loans, or they're um, being directed by people in their deals. Like if you are someone who's going to buy a business and you don't really feel like you know what's going on, and you are kind of asking people every step along the way, what do I do next? What do I do next? You may have put yourself into what I call the program. And the program is the plan that business brokers and sellers have for buyers, right? So we're going to meet this buyer. We're going to show them this information. They're going to show us that they have the down payment. Then we're going to line them up with this business loan broker, and they're going to get the loan in place. And we're going to send them over to this accountant, and we're going to send them to this lawyer so they can get the paperwork done. And we're going to sign on this date, and we're going to sell the business, and it'll be done. You don't want to be in somebody else's program. You want to be creating your own program with your own team that is working just for you, so that everybody's incentivized to help you discover what may be wrong, right? Um, yeah. Um, when buying a business, it's not just about what you see, it's about who's influencing the advice you get, I guess, is the summary point that I wanna give you. And most importantly, as a business buyer, you are the quarterback. You need to be the person that is in charge of the team, and you need to make sure that everybody on your team is actually working for you and only you. And you want to understand if they profit or not from giving you the best advice. And in thinking about those incentives, it will then help you temper or understand if what they say should be taken with a grain of salt. For example, like I've said before, the business broker works for the seller. The things they say, you put it through that filter, right? Somebody else in your deal you think may be compromised in this way, it's going to affect the way that you take in their input, or what they're telling you as far as the deal. And again, basic questions. Do you receive any referral fees or commissions from someone else involved in this deal? Have you worked with the business broker or seller before? Would be another question that I would want to ask. And what happens if I decide not to proceed with the deal? That's another question that you want to ask. What happens? Just so that you understand the footing and the exact position of every person that's involved in the deal with you. Anyway, I hope that helps. My goal here is to try to educate people and to bring people's attention to things that may be hazards or problems, that they may not see on their own. If you're serious about buying a business and you want to do it right, head over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. You can learn about my online training program. You can learn about the group coaching program and about the buyer insight analyses that my team and I do for people to help look at businesses, show you what the red flags are, give you some proposed first offers that make sense based on research that we do on what other similar businesses have sold for. All that information is over at businessbuyeradvantage.com. And with that, I'll say thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
So, how can you learn more about buying, selling, financing, and managing small and medium sized businesses? Easy. Go over to my blog site, davidcbarnett.com, where you can learn more about me and how I work with my clients. You can learn more about my books and courses that I prepared for you. You can find out how to subscribe to my email list, the YouTube playlists, and more. There's literally hundreds of hours of content there, all for free, and I'd love for you to be my guest. Special thanks go to Mark Willis at Lake Growth Financial, today's video sponsor. Mark helps people better manage their personal and business finances through the Bank on Yourself insurance strategy. This is something I've done personally and I've seen others use it successfully for years. Go to newbankingsolution.com to find all the interviews I've done with Mark and learn more about the advantages of these programs. While there, sign up for a free consultation to learn what this solution might look like for you.